Hello, everybody. I am so happy to be here today. My name is Nicole Harvick, and I write, teach, and speak about the power of forgiveness and also the healing power through forgiveness. We're here with a very special show for you today. Are you surviving or are you thriving?
Hi, and I am so thrilled to be part of all of this with Nicole. My name is Glenda Kroll, and I am a global empowerment life coach, and I am here to help you to bring you from maybe boredom, tiredness, loneliness, or whatever you're suffering from because you're not thriving in your life. So today we're going to be talking about how you can thrive in your life. You know what? We're here anyway, so you may as well pick what you want to do. You either can survive or thrive. Nicole, which one would you pick?
You know what? I have gotten by with just surviving, and I can look straight at anyone here and tell you that thriving is far better than anything you can possibly imagine. Sometimes you don't even know that you're surviving, but when you step into thriving, it's phenomenal. So I would tell everybody, choose to thrive.
And as we were just saying, there is even times in my life where, I wasn't even surviving. I was hanging by a thread. And I know everyone can relate because we've all been through this. We all understand in life there's challenges. That's what life is all about. We go up and we go down, and we don't stay constant. It doesn't happen. But it's not about going up and down. It's when you are down, it's how you handle it. That's what makes the difference in our life. So today we want to come to you and we want to talk to you about how we can thrive in our life. To take you from a point where maybe you're hanging by a thread, and if you are, my heart goes to you. But most importantly, I want you to start to think of how we can start to help you to shift your life from going from a point where you might be hanging by a thread or just maybe surviving to now to move forward and start thriving.
Absolutely. And sometimes we don't even know that we're at that point. I know I didn't. And it was going through the motions every day, Glenda. I can look back now, and some days I really didn't even remember because it was just muscle memory getting me through each day. Go to sleep, wake up, do it again. Monotony, 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 and pain involved with that. So, if we can talk to people and be open and honest and help them to understand that you, with your mindset, can lift yourself out of that situation, and it just starts with that first step or that first little goal or that first affirmation. It can start very simply, but it takes you to a beautiful place, and it takes you a place to inside of you and with your power. And believe me, you are very powerful. You might not even know it yet.
Think of yourself, let's tell everybody, like a plant. It's so important as we realize, plants just all of a sudden don't happen. They start from a seed. It's that little bit of seed that's in the earth that is planted with a little bit of water, a little bit of sunshine. What happens? It starts to flourish. And that's how we have to look at our lives. So, you know what? If you are right now surviving or hanging by a thread, like I said, and I know, like I said, I've been there a couple of times through my life, we all have to start with that one step forward. It's that little bit we need to plant. It's that seed that we need to put into ourselves.
One step forward.
It's learning that at that moment when you see yourself, I want you to make a conscious decision. We talk about mindset all the time. And I hear people when I say to them, it all starts with mindset. And people go, yeah, well, yeah, I hear it all the time. But I'm going to tell you, it is so true. I want you to look at these things in life, and I want you to really put special power into it. Why? I'm going to tell you a little story what just happened to me recently. 9, 10 weeks ago, I had a very bad fall, and I ended up with some major accident, well, breakage to some bones in my back. And the doctor said it was going to take me months before I could get back on my feet and move forward. I gave myself to the end of the summer to start walking again. I'm an avid walker, hiker. Yes, I love to move. That's part of what gets me going. So, needless to say, I was down. Yeah, and I had a little bit of my pity parties, but I only allowed it to last for so long. Here's the thing. 10 weeks later, yesterday, as a matter of fact, I go to the doctor to have him checked to get my final things or just to have me a checkup. And he looks at me and he says, wow, because I'm walking now. I'm back to my 10,000 steps a day and plus. He looked at me and he says, how did you do this? This is incredible. Most people, especially in your age group, wouldn't be doing what they're doing. How did I answer? It's my mind. I am so strong and I am so positive because I knew I was going to walk again. I knew that I needed to be healthy because I have no other choice because that's what I love. So it all starts with mindset.
I love that story, Glenda, and that's so true. And that's not just unique to you.
No.
You know, you set your mind to it and you accomplished it in record time. And anybody can do that, like you said, with that mindset, with that desire, and with that fire in your stomach. You too can do it. I mean, it's possible. I know people that have, they're never going to walk again. Well, nope, I don't accept that. I won't accept that. And like you, they're back on their feet. And here you are talking when technically the doctor said you should be in bed, but you didn't accept what he said. You knew what you were made of.
See, the important thing is we know what we need to do, but we don't always do it. Because you know what? Yeah. Everybody tells us that we need to do all these things. And it's like when I say to a new client that we need to start with working on your outlook, your attitude. That's the word, attitude. Can you do it or can't you do it? It's all in how you do it. So it has to start with attitude. So maybe we can look at some of the words that if you're living in a survival zone, what are some of the things that you're thinking of? Let's say if you're living in a survival zone, you're already probably feeling like you're defeated. And you're probably a little bit irritable and annoyed. You get annoyed with people that are in your life. And you become angry more and frustrated. Are you an angry person and talk about the things that you can't do or the people that have actually hurt you in life? Yeah, I've been screwed over once or twice too many times. I hear that quite often. And then you become that person who becomes so impatient with others. You tell me, is that how you want to attract people into your life? Now, I don't know about you, but that's never one for me. But
No.
then,
Oh, go ahead.
please go ahead.
Well, what I was going to say is if you have that attitude, what you're doing, and you might not even know it, but you are pulling in like kind. And that's just the law of the universe. And you're pulling in the same type of person as you. So you're all going to talk about your misery. You're going to talk about your unhappiness. You're going to talk about how you've been screwed over. I didn't deserve this. I didn't deserve that. He did this. She did that. And all you're doing is reliving it. And you're just in that hamster wheel of the same thing over and over and over. And you've got to get out of that. You've got to get out of that hamster wheel.
It's like I say. Hello, Teresa. Thank you for joining us today and joining in. Let's talk about other things. It's who you show up to be because it all starts with another little thing. What stories are you telling yourself? I remember when I went through my first divorce, whoever would listen to me, I told them, well, he did this to me. He did that to me. Yep. Misery loved company. I wanted to let everybody know how horrible he was. And you know what? People dropped off because nobody wanted to be hearing it. People didn't want to be moving forward with me at that point in time because I was miserable. But once I realized what it was hurting was me, it took me very quickly to realize that and to change it. And now it was, you know what? I always find that I get through every challenge that enters to me. Whatever comes around is what I deal with. One step along the way. Nothing happens right away. But once we can move one step along, then we can make it through.
And that's so funny that you bring that up, Glenda, because I was the same way with my divorce. And as I reflect back on it, that I still have my friends around me is surprising because I just would drone on about, oh, poor me, poor me, poor me. And we've all had a poor me moment, every single one of us. But what are you going to do about it? Are you going to keep talking about it, reliving it, making that the story for life, or are you going to step into your power? And that's the thing, is we all have to take just that one step and get over that fear, and that's when we just blossom. And that's what I chose to do, and I know that's what you're choosing to do.
Absolutely. So when we get into the thriving zone, the thriving zone is the area where we start to have that confidence within ourselves, that receptiveness. When we smile, because maybe nobody is smiling at us, but we smile for no reason. And those people we actually start to attract to us. We get excited. And nothing better than feeling proud and feeling proud of even of yourself and stimulate those type of reactions in your life. That's what we want to become. So how can we do that? Tell me right now, what way would you like to be? Thriving? Or are you happy being in your little zone, in your little pity party area, and being maybe just surviving?
Absolutely. And like I talked about, some people don't even know they're just surviving. It's just their way of life. I was married to someone like that. Poor me, woe is me. I only, if only, always something, the next thing was always going to be better. And it wasn't the thing, it was living within himself and keeping those stories alive that created the angst, the animosity, and the anger.
So when we start our day, I know I have a certain way of starting my day. And I know, Nicole, you have also your way of starting your day. Do you want to share with us one of your first steps to starting to creating yourself into your thriving?
Absolutely. And these are things that I learned. These are things that I have practiced, and these are things that I have made a habit. But the very first thing I do when I wake up, and I lay there for a minute and I wake up in gratitude, and I just look around and I just get that feeling inside of myself of how good things are. I'm awake and I'm breathing, first of all. So that in itself is a win.
Yeah.
And I just think of just a few things. You know what? I get to go shower. I have running water. I have my hot tea here. I get to sit and take my time, sip my tea, and think about all the things that I have. I think about my health. I think about how lucky I am that I'm getting out of bed. There's just so many simple things you don't even think about. A simple miracle can be the fact that you woke up breathing. So you have to look at it as being in gratitude with every single moment of your life, even when things go wrong, because understanding that you have a choice. Every day you have a choice to make, many choices to make. And if you make the correct ones towards thriving, it's going to help you understand what gratitude is all about.
And it's so important. Starting your day with gratitude is the way that you start to things. Now, I know some people will say to us, you know what? I don't see anything to be grateful for. I've heard that before. Well, let me tell you, if you wake up in the morning and you're breathing, that's something. Even through my lousy divorce that seemed to last forever, I woke up. My children were still with me. They were alive and they were well. The sun was shining. I was going to see another day. That's not something to be grateful for. We all have something that we can latch onto. And even if it's the littlest things you can find, take it. The second one for me helps me as well. I set an intention in the morning. What do I want to actually get done that day? There's sometimes what I usually try to do is, I have my list of things that I need to get done. But I always try to make sure there's one intention that I must make in that day. And that is what I actually start with to help me moving forward.
Yeah, that's a good one. And it can be small, Glenda. It doesn't have to be these huge intentions. Sometimes if I'm having maybe an off day, my intention is just, you know what, just make your bed. Just start with that. Just have your bed look nice. And that way you won't crawl back into it. And so for me, it can be that, or it can be just sitting and maybe journaling a little bit, just letting yourself know that you're alive, you're capable. And it doesn't have to be this huge list of 20 things that you have to do and check off. We've been conditioned that you have to work hard, you have to do this, you have to make 10 cold calls, and that's just not always the case anymore. You can start very simply, very slowly, with maybe one thing a day that you do, and then add till you hit your comfort zone, and then just check them off. If you don't, that's okay too.
So let me tell you something that I find in the morning that it's really important to give to yourself for usually that first hour in the day. I know a lot of people will turn around and go and check their emails. And then once they check their emails, they're rushing to do something. So what you're doing is you're putting somebody else ahead of you. You're working onto what they need, not what you need. So setting your attention, being grateful are the first things to working for yourself. So you have to learn that, we have to start our lives. And I know, I didn't grow up this way, but it's got to be starting about you. It's not about what everybody else thinks or what they do. And that leads us to our number 3, letting go of expectations for yourself and others. Oh my, what we expect from everybody else. We have such high expectations. But what do you think happens? What happens to us, Nicole, when we expect from everybody else?
There is nothing but disappointment when we expect, whether it be from ourselves or whether it be for someone else. And in all honesty, we don't really have a right to expect from others. They're an individual, they have their own agendas, they have life going on. And for us to project what we expect onto them, in my opinion, is very, very unfair. And you will be disappointed. Now, we're also very hard on ourselves at times. And it's just one of those things that, write it down, do your best. And to me, if you do your best, that's really all you can ask for. But don't be disappointed in yourself, because if it doesn't get done today, you know what? You have tomorrow. Don't be hard on yourself, but really, save your expectations of others and just put those away. Those are really grossly unfair.
I usually, for a while there, I've had many women that were working on their, having weight problems and learning to try to be on a diet and all the rest. And then they would fall off the diet and they would be knocking themselves down. And they were horrible things that say to themselves, I wouldn't even say to my best friend, never mind myself. And it was just you know what? We're all human, and we got to learn that we can't be 100% of anything. So stop having those expectations that you have to be perfect. Nobody's perfect. We're good enough. We have to learn to love ourselves as we are. Yes, we can try. We can work at it. And if something happens, remember what you've done and go back to what you want to be doing with yourself. So stop beating yourself up. Come on, ladies. I see it all the time. So don't tell me that you don't do it. looking in the mirror, thinking, oh my God, I don't want to look at myself. I'm too fat. I'm too ugly. I'm too, whatever it is. But you're not.
And that's just conditioning, Glenda. We have been so conditioned for so many years, be it the movie stars, be it the commercials, be it the Kardashians, whatever you want to call it. And when you really look at the big picture, you're looking at some phony people there that have been created. And it's really not fair to look at them and look at yourself and then be critical of yourself. It's just not. And we're never perfect, we're never going to be perfect, but we have to be perfect in our own skin with us and have a comfort level with ourselves. And as long as we do the best we can every day, whether that's eating right, whether that's telling ourselves we love ourselves, embracing ourselves as we are, that's the best we can do. That's enough. That's enough.
So it comes down to the next point of practicing kindness and appreciation. So it's meant for that it actually has to begin with us. So you know what, like I just finished saying, you look in the mirror and I can tell you, well, or let's even go back that way. Have you ever looked in the mirror and you haven't seen yourself? Nicole, have you ever done that
Oh,
before?
absolutely. Absolutely. And you know what? We can close our eyes to certain things we don't want to see too. We can judge, we can be harsh
Yeah.
and walk away. And it's like, who was that girl that just looked at herself? It's very, very true. And that's one of the things that I really talk about is a lot is the kindness we need to extend to ourselves first. And once we feel good about that, and you can actually feel kindness resonate through your body. It's really amazing. And once you learn to be kind to yourself, it's much easier to give it out. We've also been taught not to receive certain things like, oh, you look good, or you're very pretty, and oh, well, oh no, I look terrible today. So what we do is we're basically putting ourselves down. Why do we do that? It doesn't even make sense to me. So, we have to unlearn everything that we've been taught for so many years. So many years.
It's so true because you know what? I'm doing much better and I actually work at it because I would have a compliment. Somebody would say to me, oh, you look so pretty, or what a lovely dress. And, I would turn around all of a sudden and always say, oh, that's an old dress. It's something I have bought. But we got to learn to stop that. When somebody says something nice, receive it, say thank you, and feel it. Look in the mirror and look into your eyes and say, even to yourself, I'm pretty. I look good. I'm so proud of myself. And I know it's something that you think that you don't do. But, one of the things that I do with some of my clients is mirror work because
So
mirror
important.
work is so good, right?
Absolutely. And that's the first thing that really, for me, gave me self-confidence is looking in the mirror, talking to myself, because I'd go about the day talking to myself anyway, so I might as well look in the mirror. So I'd start telling myself, you're okay. You're going to be okay. You look fine. I would just go through the motions of maybe talking to a friend, but it was me. So I really learned to befriend myself that way. And that made me capable of, like you talked about, just say, thank you. I really appreciate the compliment. And I also learned to be that person that reached out to tell someone else how well they looked, how nice you look. I love your smile. People don't expect that. People are used to someone not making eye contact, walking by them on the street, looking down. And we've gotten to a point in society that literally I can be walking on a sidewalk and some person will walk by me and not even look at me. And I'll always say, hi, how are you? Or, talk about their dog, or we have to get back to being kind to others because you don't know what anybody's going through that day, that week, that year, or all their life. So maybe one little word or one little smile with eye contact to someone else can make their whole day.
Even as something as simple as, when you don't feel it. I don't know if you've ever gone through this, but I remember going through a time in life where things were really dark for me. And I had this woman that I had met. My kids were just very little at the time. And um, she said something to me, which actually, I've remembered this my entire life. And she said something to me that day, and it resonated with me so much that I'm telling you about it now. She said to me, "When was the last time you laughed?" And I
Ooh.
went, "Whoa." And then I started thinking about it, and I went, "Oh my gosh, I haven't laughed in ages." There was so much going on in my world that was so bleak. Yes, I had two beautiful, healthy children that I needed somebody to knock me in the head and say, "Remember." But, life wasn't feeling like I could laugh. And then that day, it was like, you know what? It's funny. So I've done this experiment with other people. When you feel like you can't laugh, start laughing. Ha 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 ha. And what ends up happening is you start to laugh because it's something that starts. And I know it's like smile. When you feel that you can't smile, start smiling for no reason. But you start laughing. I did this also with a friend of mine who was having a harder day. And I said, "I'm going to make you laugh." And she said, "You're not going to make me laugh. I don't feel like laughing." And I started going, ha 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 ha. And I started laughing. And because I started laughing, then she started laughing. And then we just started to laugh. Now, it's crazy. And you're probably rolling your eyes out there and saying, "Yeah, right." But it's true. And if you can do something when you're at your wits' ends, you're feeling low, just start laughing for no reason. And that laugh will change. It will come from a phony laugh to actually, you will be laughing at yourself because it's good to feel silly.
It is. And once you do start that laughter, you have to think about, this is the goofiest shit I've ever done. Why am I doing this? And then all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, I'm talking to myself, I'm laughing to myself, and then it just kind of snowballs into something really fun. And all of a sudden lightheartedness comes. And it's really a cool feeling, because I've done that too, walking around the house all dour. And it's like, what are you unhappy about? It's like, God, sometimes you're a mess. And just laugh at yourself, because sometimes when I look at myself, like, oh good Lord, girl, what are you doing or thinking? And it makes me laugh, and then I carry on. I don't take myself too seriously.
Right. So it changes the feeling. Now, part of I want to talk to about is I've been hearing it a lot. And today, I was on Clubhouse, and I just jumped on because I usually, when I'm getting ready in the morning, I usually listen to it. And I was listening to this group, and it was all about manifesting. And there's been so many times in my life, and some people don't believe in it. I do, because so many things that have happened in my life that I actually have manifested. But it all is also to do with your outlook and what you are putting out there. So what are you actually putting out? Are you putting out that negative vibe and that urge? And, like I tell you, misery loves company. I always say to my friends, I live with me, myself, and I, and Google and Surrey. So, when
My best friends.
my best friends,
She talks to me.
and we all talk to each other, and sometimes even crazy comes in and helps with the entire situation too. And it's really important if you're also just turning into your life now. Like, maybe you're listening to all of this and you're just starting a new life. Maybe you've gone through a divorce, or you're going through a divorce, and you're feeling down and you're feeling out, and you want to start to turn around your life and start to thrive. And like, who knows who's watching this? And I'm hoping that somebody's watching this that does. But you have to start taking off the seriousness and this heaviness in your life, because things aren't going to change just because you're miserable or just because you're being heavy about it. But things will change once you start to have a little bit more lightness into it. Like I said, we're all going up and we're all going down. And that just continues going up and down. But it's how I would rather stay on the upswing and being positive and making myself with little silly, stupid things because I know that I'm going to be actually obtaining more things to come to me.
Absolutely. And you know, if we really think about it, we have so little control over things. And that's why I practice a surrender. I just surrender. And I know that the only thing I can really control is myself. And so I'm going to do it in a fun, light, and happy way. I'm going to make sure I wake up with gratitude and go to bed with gratitude. And in between, I'm going to have as much fun as I can.
Absolutely. You know what? So if we don't have control of some things in our lives, remember the only thing that you do have control is yourself. Should we repeat that again? Hello? Are you listening?
You, yourself, and I.
Myself,
You are the controller of you.
of your destiny,
Mhm.
of your feelings, of your expectations. We got to learn that we can't expect anything from anybody but ourselves. We can't feel disappointment from others. You can only feel it for yourself and of yourself. So learn to take control with what you can. And what we're telling you now is the first start has to be and start with you. So as we thrive into our new world, let's talk about when we can actually look for something new to come into our life. Great new ideas, great new things, new friendships, new ways of moving forward. What do you do that you can do right now that could be new to add to your life? Nicole, when you were going through your divorce, did you do the same old things or did you start changing it up?
Well, the same old things that didn't work then, I knew weren't going to work for the new me. So I started researching. I had an old friend group. And sometimes when you go through a divorce, you're kind of the odd person out. And so I started yoga. I started meditation groups. I went to spiritual groups. I started going to new places. I stopped drinking at that time because that really wasn't working for me, and started going out to places for mocktails or places where, we had trivia night, just different things that I'd never done before. And not everything worked correctly, but I did notice that the people that were in my life when I was this other person, all of a sudden we didn't resonate that much, and it was just an organic leaving of the old and a coming in of the new. So it was really effortless, and I cherished them for what they gave me at the time. But when we no longer had certain things in common, I said goodbye with love. They did the same, and we went our separate ways. So for me, bringing new things in was eye-opening. Things I might not have ever even tried before. I started doing them. I started kayaking. I started hiking. I was out in nature, yoga 3-4 times a week. And in Arizona, you can do outdoor yoga pretty much all year long. And so there was just all kinds of activities that I started including in my life. Instead of sitting at home on a weekend, I would hop in the car with my youngest daughter. I call her my adventure partner, and we'd find the quirkiest little places. And Glenda, it was amazing. It really, as I reflect back, it was so much fun, and I wouldn't do it any differently.
Yeah, we have to learn that we have to get out of our comfort zone. And I've done the same thing. When I first started, I remember the first time where I had for the first time in my life when I had children, that I had actually a day off. A day off. What was I going to do with a day off? Well, do you know what I did the first day of my day off when my kids went with their father? I stayed home and cried. I cried because I didn't know what to do with myself. I was lonely. Now, let me tell you, that's one of the things that I hear the most from women and men that are going off onto their own for the first time in their lives or for the first time in many years is they're lonely. And I get that. being back into a world where you haven't been, where you've always had a partner, maybe not an active partner, but it feels so different. But I've also been very lonely in a relationship, and that is even worse. So after that, I started looking for things just like you did, Nicole. And it's so important. That's when I started doing hot yoga. I loved it. I would go there and it was remarkable. And it wasn't about just meeting other, looking for another man. It had nothing to do with that. I met women who were also single because all of my friends at that point were all married. So it was something that I needed to start doing and start venturing out and start getting out of my comfort zone. Did I say that right? Comfort zone.
Yeah, comfort zone. And there's a very good saying that I have always lived by, and it's if you're alone and you're lonely, you're not in very good company. And once that hit home, I'm like, oh my God. So I always think about that. And, I've learned to love myself, to sit with myself or in silence or just by myself. And I have a lot going on in my life, but I also cherish those times I can be alone in my own company.
And it does take a while. So, if you're starting out in a newly divorced, separated or something, it takes a little bit of while. Again, I always believed in all the years through coaching and even through my own life, how I made it through so many crazy obstacles and challenges, is that just by taking one step at a time will change things. And that's how I always live my life. One little step at a time to look at something, to maybe joining a new group that you find online. Now we're all settling down with this COVID thing. Well, so we hope and think, but you can go out and actually start meeting people. For anybody who has never learned, there's meetup groups. That's how I first started. I'd go to groups, I would listen to all different types of speakers because I figured I could always learn something new. And that's where I would learn and meet people because they had similar interests. So try something that you love to do, go onto a meetup group and Google in whatever type of things that you love. And I guarantee you will find a group that will be there. I also did this when I was starting to get involved in real estate. I met like-minded people. And that's how I actually grew at that point in time with that, because I met great connections. So don't worry. It doesn't have to be, excuse me, I have a phone ringing in my back. It's live. It doesn't
It's
have
real. It's real, Glenda. It's,
sorry, we're real.
mhm.
So it doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to be out wanting to meet a man or a woman. And let me tell you, we can talk about that too. There are ways of doing that too. But there are opportunities out there for everything and anything you want in your life. You want to find out more? Even give us, send us a note and let us know, and we'll help you start looking out and finding more ways.
And that's a really, really important part of learning to thrive is getting out there, trying something new. And everything that you want is over that line of fear. All you have to do is put your foot over that line of fear and your life will change. I can't even begin to tell you the things that I was fearful of. I was fearful of leaving my ex-husband, and I sit there and think, it's like, now, wait a minute, you didn't even get married till you were older. You were established in your career. You made money. You traveled. You did everything. Why all of a sudden are you so scared? And I was. And to this day, I look back and I still can't pinpoint it. I think it was just, existing so long in that comfort zone. And it's like, this isn't working for you. Step over that fear and get out there and do it. And that really, the stepping over the fear is what helped me to start thriving.
Okay, you said that word. It's the F-bomb. Yep.
Fear.
It is the F-bomb because it goes along. It should be effing fear, because you know what? It does. It holds us back, and it's held me back through so much of my life. Even to coming on here and doing something like this years ago, I would never have done it. I talked about it. I also stayed in a marriage longer than I should have because, again, I wasn't working. I didn't have everything together, but I was miserable. So what was I going to do? And I felt that I was lying to myself. So it's somehow, whether you find an accountability partner, whether you speak out to somebody who you know is supporting you and building you, you need to get past that one thing, because it's when we get out of that area when things start to change in our lives. And it's crazy, but sitting back and cocooning in this area isn't going to move you forward. And actually, your life is going to be continuously left stuck. So let's start learning that, you know what? Whatever we fear, we got to move through it, because
Mhm.
fear is crippling.
It is. It is. And it's so interesting because that fear that you have inside of you, once you step past it and you look back, you're like, why? Why was I ever afraid of that? What was that in me that kept me from doing that? And it's like, why didn't I do it sooner? And it brings you to a once you do it, it brings you to a place of self-respect. And it brings you to a new idea that, you know what, if I can do that, I have a lot more inside of me that I'm going to do. So for me, once I did that, it was a boost to myself. It's like, you know what? You really can do a lot more than you think you can. So let's get going. And it motivated me to push forward with so many things, that including this, which I never thought I could do. And here we are. And like you said, if you would have told me a year ago that you and I would be on here talking, or I would be on here live, I'd have been, nope, I don't have enough Botox in. My lips aren't full enough. I would be like, I would be doing that mirror work. And it's like, not yet, not yet. So, and now it's like, you know what? It is what it is.
And
And
the
here we are.
opportunities will come to you more than you actually realize.
Mhm.
So a couple of years ago, I was doing courses and wanted to get involved in real estate and didn't know what to do, because what I was doing at the time wasn't feeding me. And I started taking courses. And then, of course, after I've taken all these courses, what I needed to do was buy a property. Well, there's something about a woman jumping out and doing something like buying a property when she is maybe a little bit handy, but not totally. Trying to, I trying to get somebody to partner up with me, and it wasn't working. Why wasn't it working? Because it wasn't meant to be. It was crazy what I was trying to do, because I didn't have the confidence in me to do it. Until finally, my coach said to me, you know what, Glenda, you just got to jump in the fire. You might get a little bit burnt, but you know what? You're going to survive. And that's what I did. I jumped out and I bought my very first property. And I'll tell you something. You know what? Nothing goes smooth. And sometimes you do have some hiccups. Hello. But you can make it through. I did. I created something that I never thought in a million years. And I made it through. Not only did I see and build my own confidence, I saw what I was capable of doing. So if you can jump out of that fire a little bit, and you can, even though you are worried or scared, it can change so much in who you think you are. It can tell you what you're capable of doing, because we don't really know our full capabilities until we actually start to take the plunge.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you what, Glenda, I never thought that I was capable of driving a 15-foot U-Haul from Arizona to South Carolina. But here I am, and I thought, my gosh, if you can do that, you can do anything.
Right? And that's the
Absolutely.
whole thing. What talk are you talking to yourself? Because I do that all the time. Geez, if I can do that, I can do anything. Of course, we come across like we're very confident and assured of ourselves, But I can tell you that we still have our own little feelings of not feeling confident in certain things. Everybody does. But if I can do this, you can do this. And that's what I want
Absolutely.
you to start saying to yourself.
Positive self-talk is so important. Even if you don't believe it at first, just keep saying it. Start having it resonate throughout your body. And then all of a sudden, there'll be that day that you wake up and you're like, you know what? I've got this. I can do this. And then you do it and you're like, oh, I should have done this a year ago. I promise you, because I've been there.
And they actually say that for the subconscious mind, because we have a conscious mind and we have a subconscious mind, for things to come into our subconscious mind, it is repetition. Because you know what? We grew up, we had our mothers and our fathers and maybe teachers, about what you can't do. And maybe, that you weren't good enough and you weren't smart enough, but those things were drummed into our self-conscious. So let's start to change things around for ourselves and start saying to ourselves, you know what? I know I can do this. I know I can do this. I can do anything I want to. Why? Because I'm strong, I'm confident. And start building some type of affirmations to yourself. And you know what? Affirmations work.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And one of the things I want everybody to know is we have played small for too long. Even if we don't know who's watching us, who's listening, or who's learning from this, it might be one little sentence, one little snippet of what we say that they need to hear to start them on their journey of this thriving. They might not even know that they need to hear it, but once they hear it, they perk up. They're like, oh my gosh, she's talking directly to me. And so that's why we all need to live in our power. Don't play small. Get up to the base and hit that home run for yourself.
Now we're getting close to the end of the hour. Before we do, we have one more point that we need to make that really helps us to empower ourselves, to become stronger. It's where we spend some of our own time. The one thing that we need to do more often than not is start to live and be in Mother Nature. It can change everything. Go for a walk. Move. Go into Mother Nature and stop and listen. It's so simple. It won't cost you a dime. The movement itself can change you mentally because once you start moving a little bit, it changes the dynamics even in our own brains. But being in Mother Nature creates also the extra oxygen that we do need. Do you know they say that people that walk more than 30 minutes a day, that actually lessens their chances of dementia and Alzheimer's? It's because the brain needs more oxygen. Now, if that is not a good enough excuse, I don't know what is.
Absolutely. We're very, very shallow breathers. And I don't even know that people understand that. But as you're walking or you're just outside anywhere, start taking a few deep breaths and holding it. In 1, 2, out, hold 1, 2, out 1, 2. And you're going to start feeling more energetic too. Or you can actually relax yourself. It depends on what you're trying to do. And the thing that's most important for me is walking barefoot because you're grounding. They say one of the worst things that ever happened was tennis shoes because it disconnected us from the earth. And that's where we need to be. Absolutely. Nature will heal you. Nature has plants to heal you, trees to hug that will heal you, birds that will sing to you that will heal you. And if you just sit out, if you can do nothing more than sit out for 10 minutes a day, you're going to crave that. And that's going to become a habit. And that's going to help you along the way.
Especially when you're feeling low and down, start to listen to the birds. Watch an animal and see how an animal is reacting. Mother Nature is just so amazing.
It is. I'm going to just get down with my dog and start rolling in the grass when he does it. I know, that must feel really good because he does it every morning. I'm like, I wonder
Right?
what it would look like if I got out there and started rolling with him.
Well, people might wonder about you, but you won't really care what they think because you're just
They've
having a great time.
wondered about me my whole life. So it's like they just say, oh, well, yeah, that's
There she
typical.
goes again.
Yeah, she's rolling. She's on a roll.
I'm an animal lady, and for me, it would be, I'm at my happiest points when I have animals around me. That's another area for me that is really important. I don't have a dog anymore, but every single friend of mine has an animal. So I am constantly surrounded by animals, and most of my friends actually call me the dog whisperer because somehow I can relate to them better than anybody else can. They are just, there's some very deep connection there, but they make me happy. So find something. Here's the extra treasure. Find something that brings you happiness in your life. Maybe it's a cup of tea in the morning or afternoon or evening. Maybe it's calling up your best friend, and instead of being on the phone, you can even Zoom so you can see each other's faces. Going for a walk. It doesn't matter. It's all about finding those moments of happiness, because it's those moments that help us thrive into our life. We don't need to keep surviving. We need to start thriving.
And Glenda, I love that you're pointing out some very simple things that everyone can do. It doesn't cost money. It's really not time consuming. And there's no reason that we can't do those things. Just reaching out to a friend, like you said, standing outside, we can all do that. We don't have to put it on a calendar. We don't have to pay for it. It's a way to bring joy into our lives without complications. We're too complicated. Dumb it down occasionally, make it simple, and just do it.
Keep it simple, stupid, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
So we want to thank everybody who's been tuning in, been following us. And we actually came up with a little gift that we would like to share with whoever would like to have it. We want to hear you comment below if you are looking to receive. We have a free ebook of the 10 ways that you can change from your survival mode into your thrive. Become that thriver in your life. Change your life. It doesn't take much.
And you will be happy that you did. This is for you. It's not for anyone else. And just know that you're worth it.
We start looking at so much of ourselves and start feeling that we're not worth it. For years I used to say, I've been a caregiver all my life with my family, and I used to put everybody else always first. I never, I realized after I became a mom and years later that never mind was I not on the top of the list. For years, I never even got on the list. No wonder I felt so low, because it was never about me. But then at one point, I realized that to make myself happy, I had to make it more about me. And when I became happier, so did everybody else around me. It's really crazy how that happens, eh?
It's contagious. It really is. Happiness is contagious. Go in a room and walk in a bad mood and everybody's happy. You can't not be. And if you aren't, get out, because they don't want to be around you anyway. But it's very contagious.
So start learning to make it. It's about you. It's about creating that wonderfulness in the world that you live. When you do, you're even going to find the people around you in your household start to change. When we change, everybody else changes. You know what? It's so crazy about us women because we seem to secure so many things around us. So let's try to secure the most important thing in our lives, our own happiness. We got to start moving forward for no one else, but ourselves. So if you're just right now surviving through your life, reach out and comment below this video and say, I want to thrive. We'll reach back out to you so we can send you that free ebook. But remember, comment below, I want to thrive. Because I don't know about you, but I want to thrive too. I'm done with surviving.
And I want others to thrive. I think that's our mission here, Glenda, truly is, that if we can do it, anyone can. Anyone can. And I want to see my friends thrive. I want to see strangers thrive. We've gone through so much where we've just existed. Why would you not want to sit up and seize the day, seize your world, take your life back into your own control, and do nothing but thrive and help others do the same?
Absolutely. Life is really better when you can actually enjoy somebody else being with you and feeling that. And if I'm happy, so can you. I want to be making sure that my life is actually helping others to move forward. And for Nicole and I, it's all about sharing and loving and giving whatever we possibly can. And for that, I would like to say my thank you very much for tuning in, and thank you for listening. And I'm hoping that you can comment below, I want to thrive. Nicole, any sweet last words?
You know what? I am so grateful for the people that show up for us, for the people that listen, for the people that have reached out to me, whether it be on text or phone. I didn't know what to expect when I started this, but I've got some really amazing people in my life, and I'm very, very blessed with that. I'm very lucky. And thanks to all of you. Seriously, I love you guys. I do. And that's the beauty of thriving, is you do feel the love for others along with yourself. So thank you for being here for us. I so appreciate it.
That's beautiful. And I send my thanks and love out to you all as well. It is all about let's try changing the world, and we can only do it one at a time. So take your life and let's all start thriving together. And if you're having really a difficult time, reach out to us.
Mhm.
We're here for you. Remember, get your free ebook now by stating below, I want to thrive. And then,
Yay.
yeah, let's let that happen. Thank you so much for listening today, and we can't wait for next week when we come back to you, and we'll be bringing a guest next week. We'll be letting you know more later. Thanks so much, and we look forward to hearing your comments and knowing who is looking to start thriving.